Do you do you want me should I do my next note, or you want to go into something?
No, go ahead.
My next note just says I didn't realize there was so much fucking in the 50s.
Right? Everyone was like,
Yeah,
putting it on.
I know. I didn't realize. So that
Maybe
was
it was. Now that you think about that, next time you sit with your grandma and your grandpa, you have to think, grandma and grandpa were freaky back in the day.
yeah. There was I just didn't realize how open
And if your grandma
people were.
looks like an old movie star, maybe she was a hooker herself.
Oh my God. I wonder if someone really ran a business like that though back then. Like,
I'm
it had to come
sure
from
there
something.
was definitely something that was like, in a sense, from that. I mean, I think it happens today. There are people out there, you see them and you're just like, they look an awful lot like somebody else. They go out of their way to make themselves look
Oh, of course.
like celebrities, because it is a thing to be like, oh, I want to look as pretty
If
as
you are
her.
one of those people that's going out of your way to look like a celebrity, I will hire you for my prostitution ring.
There you go. That's great.
Just to let you know.
We're not breaking any laws here, especially when we are working.
Well, we are working does not break any laws. My next note just says, gosh, there was so much less to hate on than La La Land. Like, this movie was fine.
This movie was fine, but I get the tone, like the 50s and the racism and the
Well, it was actually made in 98.
homosexual like innuendos that they threw out there, like swish and all those things, the terms that the guys use. I get that, and I don't by any means want to erase anyone's existence from that experience, but I was also a little like, it's heart-wrenching to think that that's the reality, right? Like back then, the police departments were so different than they are today. And I do think that there are some out there that are really great departments, but I also feel like there's some that are really not great departments still.
Yeah.
And I think how much of that is true, like in this story,
Oh my
because
God,
there was
that's
that,
so
there was
much.
so much of it that was back then. Because you figured like back when all the gangster, people were really big and stuff, that this was a big thing. They were infiltrating those police departments, and those people were on the takes and things
Yeah.
like that. So
On the takes.
that made me a little sad, because I was just like, this was a reality for a lot of people that that they were dealing with, but also made me really sad to think that we haven't drastically moved past that. We should
No.
be so past that at this point, and we're still not there, and that was a little disappointing.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
In
I think
reality.
it sucks. I think but I do think, I mean, even though it was filmed in 98, they did a good job of portraying what it probably was like in the 50s to be in a police department where obviously you're not coming out, you're not saying you're gay, and if you are gay, like, that's used as a derogatory comment. So
I'd be interested to find out the actors that took part in some of those things, that actually said some of the things that they say. I would love to talk to somebody that has done like a period piece or a movie, right? Where they've had to use language and things
Oh.
that, like, how do you, like today, if I had to say some of those words, even if
Yeah.
it was my job that I had to say that, I would find that really hard to do.
you
I
would
find that a
definitely
real
never
struggle.
succeed as an actor.
No,
Also,
yeah.
why don't we just have a Kevin Spacey on?
Right. We'll get Kevin Spacey. Oh, he's got a lot of other issues.
Yeah, he's a little busy at the moment. Okay. So yeah, my next note was, how is Kim Basinger that pre-Botox? The other thing I thought was kind of interesting is how similar it turned out. The young Lieutenant Ed, who said he was out for justice for his father, how similar he was to the Kevin Spacey character, in the sense that they both wanted fame and they both wanted, to be big, larger than life. And he says he's out there to get justice for his father. But at the end, you see like the real him. He's like hero.
Right.
He wants that fame. He wants that notoriety.
Right.
So he's almost like, he let them lie about Dudley's entire thing just so that he could also be seen as a hero. So it's like he's a
Right.
corrupt officer too. He's in the corruption
In a
just as
different
much as
level.
anybody. Yeah.
He accepted to highlight that. And I think that's the part too, like that's probably reality, right? Like in a lot of these jobs and a lot of these areas where in the past, not just police departments, but other companies where these things have happened, that was probably how it all worked, right? People got by with that. I think that's a lot harder today. Like
I don't know. You hear about
to
like,
do.
so
I mean, I
much.
think it does. I think it still does happen, but hopefully a lot less. But I feel like it was
Yeah.
more common back then, where people
Yeah.
would get away with certain things like that.
I just think it was so interesting, like such a character thing, because like you see it kind of underlying, and you look at someone like how scummy Kevin Spacey's character is seen as for being so fame driven, but then it's like
Right.
this cop who's looking down on him for that is exactly the same, basically.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. Also, I thought it was crazy how many big names were in this movie. Like,
Right.
I mean, the guy who played the young actor in the motel room, he
Yeah.
went on to be in like Devil Wears Prada and
Right.
some other movies. You know,
And
obviously,
Danny DeVito. I love Danny DeVito.
love Danny
There's something about
DeVito.
Danny DeVito
I
that's
know.
so, like,
I mean, Danny DeVito is, I mean, ever since the Matilda days.
all right.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah.
I once saw him eating at a vegan restaurant next to me.
Oh, nice.
He's a sweet guy. Anyway, I think what I took away from this movie was a couple things. One is it was fine. It was a okay movie. Oh, that guy's house too, the millionaire's house. I was like, I could definitely live there.
Oh, can we talk about in the beginning how it all started when it started talking about people moving to LA and the affordability and all that? I was like, that's so out the way. And like you look at these homes and I was like, that is a $5 million home now.
Yeah.
Like, and some of the things that they were talking about how the affordability, I was like, this is not LA. Like the LA you're talking about is not the LA I know. But it was so interesting to me to look at how it was seen and how it shifted over time because it was like, come here, live here. It's going to be affordable. It's so much easier. You know,
I also just
cost
loved
effective.
like seeing LA, like the Formosa Cafe, and seeing like it's so funny because that motel where the kid is killed is in Hollywood. It's on Sunset. I used to walk my dog past there like every night. It is so beat down. I have no idea how it's still maintaining unless they own that plot of land. But it was fun to kind of like see that stuff and see, you know, just and like yeah, you're right. Like some of the places that they were shooting, like where the girl was held captive, and it was supposed to be like, you know, the quote unquote ghetto, and he was like, it's south of Jefferson. I'm like, south of Jefferson now is like $2 million home.
Right.
So yeah, so that was kind of funny too. But yeah, I think my biggest takeaways were I liked it. It was a good movie. It kept me interested. I still watched in 2 parts.
Yeah, I
I
can't do
watched
that.
1
I don't
hour
know how you
one
do
night and
that.
1 hour the next. I'm a very tired person.
I'm pushing through. I'm like, I got to get to the end. I'm also that curiosity. Like, I want to know, like, right? Like, if I watch a series, like, me and Todd sat down and been watching this other series on TV, and we were, you know, he was like, I'm like, another episode? He's like, no, it's time for bed. And I was like, because I want to know what's going to happen next. So I would struggle with that in a movie. I couldn't stop a movie and be like, oh, I'll come back to you tomorrow.
I mean, I
get it, you have kids
dropped my
and
kid off
stuff,
at
so.
school and then got to work, and the car told me maybe you didn't drop your kid off at school, and I had to second guess myself. So I think I needed to go to bed. Yeah, but I will say I liked it. It was fun. It was good to watch. I enjoyed hating on La La Land more than I enjoyed not hating on LA Confidential.
Right. I mean, yeah, I agree. I think I was surprised by this, though, I will say, because I was like when it first started, I was like, ugh, I don't know about this, right? Like,
Yeah.
And then I was like, the seriousness of it, like, is this going to be serious? Is it not going to be? Where are we at with it? I'm not a huge gangster, like, film person or
love
whatnot.
gangster
So I
films.
thought that was going to be, you know, so it had a good mix for that for me. It didn't go completely gangster. And I do like some of those certain ones out there, you know, everyone loves The Godfather and all that, you know.
Yeah. Bugsy.
Yeah.
Great movie.
But for me, one of the other interesting parts of this too was the style that people had.
Yeah.
And the look. It was, to me, it was like such Hollywood, such glamour.
And it's like everyday things, like just to like go out, you're just like dressed impeccably
Right.
and you look beautiful and you've got like your hair. It's just